Her Majesty Fate Sacrifice. Elite high school in Sweden. The strict regime is immediately felt, searching and chasing after late students. The entire school begins the day with a morning prayer service, with everyone required to have a prayer book. After it's over, everyone disperses to their classes. A Latin class and the senior class. The charming teacher Caligula revels in the incomprehensibility of the Latin language for students. With his endlessly long pointer, he authoritatively moves between rows, bombarding unexpected questions at one student and then another. It's also noticeable that Jan-Erik Widgren is a particular target of Caligula's. Caligula's mood changes sharply, from a frozen smile to rage at the sight of Jan's crib sheet. In this class, Caligula practically sentenced Jan-Erik Widgren, promising to report the school director about his academic failure. The lesson ended, and after Caligula left, a barrage of curses was directed at him. Disappointed, Jan-Erik Widgren and a classmate went to the tobacco shop. Caligula followed them there. It's evident that there are hidden special relations between Caligula and the shopkeeper, Berta Olsen. During lunch, it is revealed that Caligula called Jan's father and informed him about the crib sheet. The parents are deeply upset that Jan tarnished his reputation. With his classmate Savlid, the distraught Jan went to have coffee. The philosophical dialogue ended with more curses directed at Caligula. Returning from the restaurant, Jan met the intoxicated Berta Olsen, who invited him to her place. In Berta's small room, the only beloved creature is a little kitten. She pleads with Jan to stay, telling him about the persecution by a certain man. Fearing to name him, Jan stayed. Late at night, Jan returns home, where his father silently awaits him in the dark room and a sharp conversation ensues between the homeroom teacher and Caligula, where the homeroom teacher accuses Caligula of lacking soul and ethics in his relationships with students. After this conversation, Caligula tried to establish a relationship with Jan-Erik Widgren. Jan became so close to Berta that he brought his violin, which brought them even closer. But there is a third person between them, whose name Berta fears to mention. This third person terrifies Berta, and Jan is the only one who comforts her and gives her hope. She asks Jan not to leave her and give him the key to her room. Another Latin exam. All the seniors are invited to take their seats. Caligula, at the director's request, assigns personal tasks. The atmosphere is very tense and is intensified by the operators work shadowing Caligula. Jan-Erik Widgren submits his work and rushes to Berta. Berta is at home and is in an intoxicated state. Jan is torn by jealousy. He asks her to name her tormentor. She is afraid to utter that name. Berta is forced to end her relationship with Jan. Ahead are the graduation exams. During the Latin class, a sharp conflict occurs between Jan and Caligula, who promises Jan dire consequences.
Ni nonchalerar mig och mina läxor.
Nej, jag nonchalerar ingenting.
Jaså? Har inte Widgren fattat det än? Nej.
A completely different atmosphere prevails in the classes of their homeroom teacher, friendly with a sense of humor. During class, Jan feels unwell and asks to be excused, but upon leaving the classroom, he collapses unconscious. The doctor diagnosed a severe nervous breakdown due to exhaustion and prescribed bed rest. Finally, we see the persecutor visiting Berta. Caligula? He confides in Berta and frightens her greatly. Caligula drinks and forces Berta to drink brandy. On the way to school, Berta stops Jan and asks for a chance to talk to her. But Jan sharply refuses. In the evening, Jan cannot bear the separation and goes to Berta. There was no answer to his knock. Opening the door with his own key, Jan is horrified to find Berta dead. In the dark hallway, he sees Caligula, who, after Jan fled, called the police himself. Caligula was detained by the police pending the determination of the cause of Berta Olsen's death. After the doctor's conclusion, Caligula was released. The cause of death was alcohol poisoning due to the girl's weak heart. The school director's office is investigating the incident between Caligula and Jan-Erik Widgren. Caligula wrote a statement to the director with a series of serious accusations against Jan. Caligula's accusations were enough to expel Jan from school. The director talks to each of them separately, trying to understand the situation. This was not enough, and he invited Jan and Caligula for a conversation together. Jan angrily accused Caligula of killing Berta Olsen and struck Caligula hard. The director expelled Jan from the office, leaving alone with Caligula. The director faces a dilemma: who is more guilty? As a result, Jan-Erik Widgren was expelled from school. After the scandal in the family, Jan leaves home. There is an official congratulation of the school graduates on the completion and receipt of diplomas. Jan stands on the street outside the school in the rain and watches a group of parents standing in. Quiet funeral of Berta Olsen. Jan came with his close friend Savlid. He tries to support Jan and invites him to join the graduates' company together. Jan refuses. Jan settles in Berta Olsen's room, where he finds the vulnerable, lonely creature, Berta's beloved kitten. The school director unexpectedly arrives. He is close to understanding Jan's state and at the same time states that everyone solves their internal problems alone. The director sincerely tries to reintegrate Jan into society, uttering profound words that were so important to Jan at that moment. It was a very important moment in Jan's life. He undergoes an internal breakthrough. Jan feels a surge of new spiritual strength. He takes the defenseless kitten and steps into the world with a renewed sense of anticipation of victory in this life.